Alexa, and welcome back to another What It's Like Wednesday. Today I'm going to be talking about what it's like to grieve. However, rather than just blurting out a bunch of things, I'm actually going to be answering a bunch of your questions because if you guys remember a long time ago, like probably 6 months or more ago, I asked you guys to leave me your questions related to grief after mentioning that I had lost my grandmother when I was 16, and I am now finally getting around to doing that, and I figured to switch things up a little bit with my What It's Like Wednesdays, I would answer those questions in this video. As always, please keep an open mind that this is all based on my personal experience and my personal opinion, and you may or may not agree with it, and that is perfectly fine. If you've recently lost a loved one or lost a loved one at any point in your life, I am so sorry for your loss, and just know that I know how it feels and that I can definitely relate to you. And with all that being said, let's jump into the video. To give you guys a little backstory, we are going to rewind my life back to 2011, and so in June we found out her breast cancer had come back, and by come back I mean this was the third time, and she immediately started treatments again, and then during July she had a test done after the chemo and radiation to determine how long she would have left to live based on whether or not the treatment was working, and the results were pretty devastating, and we learned that the treatment wasn't actually working. And at 16 years old I found out that I had 6 weeks left with my nana. And another thing I want to mention is that I've always had such a close relationship with my grandparents, and I grew up with them living just down the street, so I would see them literally every day, and I used to spend most of my time at their house because their neighborhood was filled with tons of kids that I had become friends with. Family dinners were something we did every Sunday, and so that just shows you the relationship we had. And finding out that I had 6 weeks left with a person I was super close with was so hard, especially at the age of 16. And so at this point they decided to move her from the hospital to a rehab facility so she could hopefully come home for a while. And about a week into her being at this rehab place, she started going downhill fast, and my mom and my grandfather made the decision to move her to a hospice care place. So she was transported to hospice, and less than 24 hours later, on July 22nd, 2011, she took her last breath. And the hardest part for me was that I was told I had 6 weeks left with her, and in reality I only had 11 days. So that is a little bit of a backstory about losing her and my relationship with her and everything. If you guys would like an entire What It's Like Wednesday video on what it's like to lose a loved one or anything like that, I can definitely do an entire video on it where I go into more details, so be sure to let me know in the comments down below. Now getting more into the grief part. If you guys don't know what grief is, it's basically a period of time you go through where you deal with death and mourn the death of someone. And something that is really important is grief is different for everyone. And with that being said, I'm just gonna jump in and answer a couple of the questions you guys have had for me. The first question is, how long does it usually take for the grieving process to end? It is different for everyone. Some people grieve within a couple days, and some people it takes years. I know that for me personally, it didn't take that long, and I don't want this to be like mean by me saying that it didn't take me that long, but something you guys should know is that when I was 16 and I found out about my grandmother's breast cancer, I did so much research on absolutely everything possible, that I knew the amount of pain she was in. I knew the struggle she went through having breast cancer not only once or twice, but 3 times. I know the toll it had on her body and everything. And after she passed, yeah, I missed her. I missed her every day, and I still do. But I know she's in a better place. I know she's not in pain anymore. Another question I got asked was, do I have any last visit regrets? And this is probably one of the hardest questions I'm gonna answer, and I know I'm not gonna be able to keep it together for this one, and the answer is yes, I do. When my mom was in the hospital and we would go visit her, whenever we would leave, I never once said goodbye. I always told her I loved her, but I never said goodbye, and to this day I still didn't get the chance to say goodbye. Back when I was 16, I was so scared to say goodbye to her when we would leave her room because I was just so scared that it was gonna be the last time I got to say goodbye to her, and so I just never did it. How does it feel to not have that person there? It's hard, and I think the hardest part is learning to live with the fact that they're not gonna be there, because like I said, I had such a close relationship and I was there all the time at her house. I would walk to her house every day after school, and I'd walk in the house and see her, and she'd be sitting in the living room reading one of her stupid Harlequin romance books, because that's what she was known for. She literally could read one of those books in a day. And so every day after school I would walk in the house, go to the living room, and I'd sit in one of the leather chairs as she sat there reading, and we'd just sit there and we'd talk. So getting back to how it feels without them there, it's different, and it takes time to get used to it. And she passed away over the summer, and so on the first day back to school I still had my same routine where I would walk to their house after school, because my grandfather worked the night shift at a lab company, and so I would go over there and take care of the dog. I remember the first day of my junior year coming home to her house, and I had ran inside and ran to the living room to tell her all about my day. And the hardest moment for me out of all this was probably the moment I turned the corner into the living room and I looked for her sitting there reading one of her books, and you know, she wasn't there. Another question that I saw pop up a bunch of times is, how can you make others feel better when they've lost a loved one? And the main thing you can do for them is just be there. Be there if they need someone to talk to. Be that shoulder they can cry on. Be that person they can just spill everything out to. I was lucky and I had so many people around me that I was able to go and talk to about it and tell them how I was feeling. Another question I saw a ton was, what makes you remember them? And for me, it's everything. Sitting next to me, I just have a few of the items that are in my room that specifically have to do with my Nana. The first item is just this bracelet. It is a pink bracelet, and when my grandmother got sick, my mom and I got one for each of us, and we got one for her, and we all wore them every day, and this was hers, and so I keep it just in this little yellow dish on my bookcase. And another thing in this dish is a mirror, and it just has my grandmother's initials on it. It's just a little silver pocket mirror. Another thing on my bookcase that I keep is this box. On the inside are pieces of some of the yellow roses that we laid on her grave when we buried her. And then the last thing of my Nana that I keep on my bookcase is just this box. And in this box I just have a ton of stuff that was my grandmother's or reminds me of her. And the last question I'm going to touch on is, do you ever feel like your loved one is there with you? And the answer is yes, I do. I feel like my grandmother's here all the time. Last summer when I was filming a video, a dragonfly landed on my camera. I'll include the picture right here. And my grandmother always loved dragonflies. And the dragonfly sat there on my camera lens the entire time I filmed. And I believe it was my grandmother, and I believe it was her just watching me. So yes, all the time I feel like she's here with me. So that concludes my video on what it's like to grieve. If you guys would like me to do more videos on losing a loved one to cancer or what it's like to deal with death, let me know in the comments down below, because I can definitely do something like that. I thought I was going to be able to hold it together in this video, but obviously I wasn't. But for all of you out there who have lost someone, just know that I know what you're going through and I know what it's like. If you guys have any more questions about grief or losing a loved one, you can leave them down below and I will try to answer them either in the comments. If you did like this video in any way or think I should do more like it, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. It just lets me know that you all liked the video, found it helpful, or want to see more. While you are down there, be sure to hit the subscribe button to be notified every time I upload a new video, and make sure to hit the bell to get real-time notifications. Lately, I have been uploading every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at midnight Eastern Standard Time, and I'm gonna do my best to stick to that schedule. I really hope you guys like this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys!